Hey everybody, it's Rhiannon. It's Tuesday, and I hope that you are all doing well. Um, One, I'm going to apologize. This video is really late. We are almost approaching the start of the school year, and that means I am a very tired girl, and all I wanted to do was come home today and nap. I've been bringing work home with me. It's a lot of work to open a school building, so I am extremely, extremely tired. But this week we are discussing divination. And of course, because I'm recording, this has to happen. Yep. So if I shut them out, they just whine and bark at the door, so you wouldn't hear me anyway. So I'm picking my battles. This week, we are each going to go over a particular form of divination. I chose pendulums. Divination was one of the first things that really got my attention. It was one of the first things I was drawn to. My first book ever was from Raymond Buckland. It was Gypsy Fortune Telling. I've always been interested in divination and in any kind of divination. Some I'm not so good at, some I haven't tried, some I'm still learning. But pendulums was one of the first things that kind of came natural. And in fact, the pendulum I'm going to show you is, I've got several, but I keep one with me in my purse, and that's a moonstone pendulum. I keep that in my little traveling altar, along with, tarot cards, a candle, and a couple of stones. But the one I keep on this table, which is my divination table, I don't know. I don't even think this is my divination table. It was supposed to be, but and that is my altar. But I tend to work here. So I don't know. That is not the point of this video though. My first pendulum was given to me by a witch in my local one of my local witch shops. Her name was Lisa, and I was interested in pendulums, and I talked about it with her, and I was browsing her shop one day, and she knew that I was just starting out. She was one of the people who I think I've mentioned in a video before, who kind of talked to me and guided me a little bit on my path, especially when I was first starting out. And I told her I was interested in pendulum magic. I had bought a couple of books. And one day when I was just browsing her shop, when I went to go check out, she handed me a pendulum. And I thought it was a beautiful pendulum, but, short on funds. And I was like, well, I can't get it today. And she's like, oh, no, you don't have to buy it. I made this for you. So she gave me my first pendulum, made it for me while I sat there, or while I was browsing in the shop. And this is my pendulum that she made me. It is quartz, and the end of it has a little tiny, if I can get it to stop moving, has a little tiny amethyst piece on it. And I've had this probably for, gosh, probably 15 years, I guess. And until I got the moonstone pendulum, it was the only one that I ever used. Now, when I work with my pendulum, it's already trying to go. When I work with my pendulum, I always take a shower. I always cleanse my space. And when I say I cleanse my space, I light candles. I will sage the room to kind of clear it, or whatever form of cleansing or protection incense that I see fit at the time. Most of the time when I'm working with my pendulum, I'm wanting to speak with my spirit guides. So I will specifically ask for my spirit guides to join me. I cast a protective circle when I work with any kind of pendulum. I don't work with Ouija boards, but when I do my spirit board, I treat it kind of the same way that you would. So I do invite my spirit guides in, and then at the end of it, I thank them for coming, and I release my protective circle and clear the house, because my husband's really funny about things. Like he is a witch. He doesn't like any kind of spirit in the house. He's very funny about it. And when we moved from the old house to this new one, the old one was extremely active. It was a very old house. It was built in the 60s, and we had spirits all through that house. And when we moved to this one, that was the one thing he said. He was like, he wanted to keep it clear, and whatever I did, he wanted to make sure I undid it. So if I did any kind of pendulum, and I think he would honestly freak out if I brought a Ouija board in the house. So that's a big reason why I do not have one. I respect him, and I don't have a Ouija board because of it. But I did make a spirit board because he's always known that I was interested in pendulums. And what I had was a card, and it was literally a card, and it just was yes, no, unsure, and a couple other directions. I had one that was a card that was past, present type thing, and I have those, but I prefer to work on something that's a little bit bigger. So I made this one, and like I said, I'm going to make another one because this one's a little bit messed up. But anyway, I do I do try to center myself before I do it. I meditate before I do it, get my body relaxed, especially if I've had a really long day. And I usually come in with a set of questions that I want. And what I tend to do is I will ask, my test questions to make sure that I've got somebody. And once I've got somebody that I trust and somebody that I want to speak with and feel that that's the person I need to talk with, then I'll go ahead and start asking the questions that I had intended on asking. You get a feeling. I've never really had, I guess because maybe I do cast a protective circle. I've never had a negative entity come in and try to speak with me when I'm doing this. My mother-in-law has kind of had a couple of issues with something a little darker coming in that, she wasn't ready for, but I specifically asked for spirit guides when I do my pendulum work most of the time. The only time I do anything different is on Samhain. So anyway, I think it's a good idea for you to have a set of questions that you want to ask. I think it's a good idea for you to have test questions because you want to make sure, sorry. You want to make sure that you are, that you have somebody there, that you have somebody that's accurate, that you know, what is that on? Did it get wet? I don't know. I don't know what that is. This is why I need a new one. I don't even know what I was saying. The day has been horrible, guys. It has been long. This week has been long. It is only freaking Tuesday. I am already counting the hours until Friday. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. This video is spaced out. Anyway, what I was saying, treat this as if you would treat any other kind of ritual. You still want to prepare for it. You don't want to come to your pendulum with negative energy. You don't want to come to it with the crap of the day. Cleanse yourself, get your body ready, have a set of questions ready to ask, have your test questions ready to go. Another really important thing is I've got several pendulums, like I said, but I also said that I only use two. I went on a pendulum buying kick, and I bought like an opal one. I bought a carnelian one because of Thor. I bought a moonstone one because of Rhiannon. I have my crystal one that Lisa gave me, and I have a couple others, and a couple of those I bought them. I'm like, there's absolutely no connection to these. Like, I have them because at the time I think I was reading a book that said it's good to, when you're using your pendulum, especially if you're using your pendulum for healing, it's good to have stones that correspond with what you're trying to do. And then when I got the stones, I'm like, I get how that's an important part, but I don't have any connection to these pendulums. So I bought them online, and that's the last time I think I'll ever buy something like that online, because to me, a connection with a pendulum, especially if you're using a stone pendulum, has to be something that you feel when you hold it. And I did feel it when I received the moonstone, and I absolutely felt it. Oh my God, with the finger. I absolutely felt it when Lisa made me this one. But the other ones, it's just, I don't have any kind of connection to them. So when you do your pendulum, you do want to make sure that your hand still, I have a really unsteady hand, so it's sometimes really, really hard for me to do it. So I usually balance my elbow on my knee. I hook it on my finger like that, and that is the only way that I can get it remotely still. And even still, you can see that the little thing over there is just going crazy. I have a really unsteady hand, so it takes a lot of practice, and it does take a lot of practice to work with a pendulum. Just because your finger kind of twitches, and but also I will say that when you are working and you know that you've got somebody, the pendulum feels completely different. It feels like there's something else here moving it, and you know that there's something else there. So it does help once you really get into a meditative state and you really start it going. It does help. But I don't even know if it would move right now. I am so out of it. Goodness gracious. But yeah, I'm not moving my hand. It's got some energy in it. It was charged last full moon, so it's got some energy in it. I always charge this at the full moons, at least, especially if I've used it a lot, once every couple months. If I haven't used it, I usually can go a little bit longer, but if I used it a lot, I will probably charge it just about every full moon. I just get nervous with it because so he brought Pac-Man. This video, Lord have mercy, guys. Anyway, I do get nervous with it because it's so small, so I have to make sure that I have it hooked to something, because we have creatures that like shiny things outside, and I don't want my pendulum stolen. But anyway, make sure you take care of it. Charge your boards too if you're going to make your own board, and they're really easy to make. I mean, like I said in the previous video about when we made our own, this is just canvas. This is just canvas paint and stickers and glitter glue. I mean, it probably cost me less than $10 to make this thing. And the next one's going to be nicer, and I will show you guys that one too once it gets done. But it took me less than $10, and really, you don't have to have a pendulum like this. You can make your own pendulum with anything. You can, they have these little wire cages that you can put things in, and you can dangle it from a string. It can be any necklace that you have with something dangling from the string, a weight. It doesn't have to be a stone. To me, the most important part is having something that you are connected to at the end of that string. Because in order to make a connection with anybody, you have to have a connection with the tool that you're using. And it doesn't have to be an expensive tool. It doesn't have to be a tool that you've bought. It can be a tool that you've made. It could be something that you found. So don't get hung up on the fact that it needs to be something fancy. It doesn't. It just has to be important to you. This video is all over the place. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, because you can tell that I've already rambled enough, because we've hit the 13-minute mark, and I never do that in my video. So I'm going to shut up. I hope that you guys have a lovely week. I hope you guys tune in for the rest of the week, because we've got a lot of witches with a lot of different things. And put down below what forms of divination you use and what forms of divination that you would be interested in using. What are you currently wanting to learn? Until next week, like I said, have a great week, and I will see you guys soon.